Very good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. G. Karapswamy, Dean Research and Innovations, Sri Ishwar College of Engineering. I welcome all the participants to this webinar series. You can do it. Are you ready? This series we are running for the last 1 week. Today is the 7th webinar of this series. It's highly successful series. Every day we get around 1,500 participants. And around 1,000 students log in. They watch our webinar. And about 500 faculty members also watch our webinar. And today's topic is you can become a good researcher. You can do it. Are you ready? You can become a good researcher. Normally, when we pronounce the word research, it's meant for highly experienced people. Always the term research is associated with the candidates who are doing doctorate or PhD degree holders. Research always is associated with PhD. But in our college, we don't do that. We always say research is everybody's business. Everyone's responsibility is with respect to research is defined. Even a student can do research. Not necessarily it will lead to Scopus paper, journal paper publication, patent filing, PhD, etc., etc. No need. You have an interest, you can contribute to research. After all, the meaning of research, it's a French word. The research is a French word. The meaning is travel. Just travel. Go beyond the horizon. Already people have traveled. Go to some new area. Can you add a new knowledge? Can you add a new knowledge to the existing domain? That is all is research. The definition of research doesn't say you should get doctorate. Doesn't say you should have a doctorate. So under this concept, we are extending this webinar to all our students. To talk on this topic, we have an eminent scientist, highly experienced scientist. In fact, he worked in various positions. Dr. Deprab Datta, he is from West Bengal. He is in West Bengal, very, very senior scientist. And since yesterday, I was interacting with him. Extremely nice person, very humble, very polite. And what is stunning is his sincerity. He is so sincere, very, very sincere. He worked in a very big organization as a senior scientist, but he feels that knowledge he gained should be shared with young generation like students. On this context, he is joining and he is going to talk on research planning and implementation. Extremely good topic, relevant for all educational institutions and for all students. And to introduce him, we have a young researcher from our college, Dr. Ananda Kumar. He is a professor in computer science and engineering of Sri Ishwar College of Engineering. Young person, but doing wonderful on research. So now I welcome Dr. Ananda Kumar to introduce the resource person, Dr. Datta, to all the participants. Welcome, Mr. Ananda Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to all. I am so excited to here today and to have an opportunity to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Debada Datta. So, Dr. Datta is Senior Scientist H and former head, Radiological Physics and Advisory Division, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, and then Professor, Physical and Mathematical Science, Homi Bhabha National Institute, Department of Atomic Energy, and Adjunct Professor, SRM University, Chennai. His academic excellence are MSc in Nuclear Physics from Kolkata University, MPhil in High Energy Nuclear Physics from Kolkata University, graduated in Nuclear Engineering, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Mumbai, and PhD in Computer Science and Physics from Mumbai University. His field of specializations on mathematical modeling, data science, soft computing, reliability analysis, risk analysis, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and software development, and so on. He has developed many software in the field of radiation physics, safety, and uncertainty modeling. Some of such development software has been exported to Turkish Atomic Energy on their demand. He is the recipient of Eminent Scientist Award, a Millennium Plug of Honor from Indian Science Congress Association in 2010. He has also received a meritorious award from National Society of Radiation Physics. He has more than 200 publications in peer-reviewed international journals, book chapters, international and national conferences on his credit. He is the author of more than 20 application softwares, and some of them are well validated and accepted by Palisade Corporation, USA. He is recognized PhD guide in engineering and science discipline. He is the reviewer and editorial board member of many international and national journals. He is the life member of many international and national scientific organizations. We are grateful for his presence among us today. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Datta. May I please call upon Dr. Datta to take over the session to get an opportunity for all of us to listen to such a great personality. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you for giving the nice introduction, and I really have an opportunity to express some of my knowledge onto this particular field. And before going further proceed, I would like to thank the Dr. Kurupsamy as well as Dr. Ananda Kumar, Vasa, what yesterday we were discussing. Now, as you have introduced me, it was very difficult. As you know that the research word he has explained already. What is research? It is a travel. So travel, generally when we travel, we start from one point and we reach into another point. But this particular travel should not have any boundary. That is the meaning I would like to express during my presentation. Because if you have a boundary, then you may be confined within your travel. Confinement will not allow you to become a researcher. If you do not have any confinement, if you can travel from one point to many other places, no boundary, then it is called the research. We will prove that why I am saying that. So now I think that I can start my presentations, and many of the slides maybe the textual format that I think participants can bear with me, but I will not read each and every slide. I will give the theme of many of the slides, because reading the textual is not required because everybody see the screen. Okay, now I think that I can have the first slide on the screen. So Vasha, you can load my yeah. So yeah, so we can go to the previous. Okay, so as you know that my title is that already mentioned that it is you can become a good researcher, research planning and implementation. So we'll be mostly emphasize on how to plan the research and how to implement it. Okay, so my content of the presentation will be like that. We'll give you some introduction and motivation, because always it is an encouragement. So we should have a motivation. Then we will explain that what is research methodology, why do you research, how to design a research, what are the different methods for carrying out the research, nature of research, some kind of data analysis which is very important, and stage of the different process during the research. Okay, because research is a travel. So when you travel, you have to first plan from coming out from your home to street, then you have to think about whether to catch a taxi or whether to catch your bus or train. So this is the different types of research process should be carried out. There are some advantages as well as some disadvantages, and with that we will conclude my session. So let us see that the first how we can carry out that. So before going further, it is always necessary to understand that what is an introduction, because whenever we do a research paper, you will see that we always start with the introduction. So similarly, here also I kept this word as an introduction. Means that whatever the presentation will do or will be succeeding slide you will be showing, it should have a theme. So that theme in short should be mentioned in the introduction. So here That's why I mentioned that it is just nothing but an investigation using scientific procedures by searching again and again to find the truth. So basically, it is the theme that when you do the research, so we are trying to find it out some unknown questions again and again. Research does not mean that you just solve a problem, because everybody we solve a problem right from my school life. If we really look at, we always solve a problem. Solving problem is not the research. So there are two different paradigms. Solving problem is not the research, but research is something which is not solving the problem. So research is the continual search for truth using some scientific method. It is the pursuit of the truth with the help of the study or investigation or whatever you call it. Okay. Now, if you look at that, what is the motivation? Motivation means that I have a problem, I would like to solve it. In order to solve that, we would like to carry out more further knowledge from that solution. So therefore, it is saying that it is desired to understand the cause-effect relationship of some scientific or social phenomena. So this is very important point, that cause-effect relationship. Okay. So desired to discover also some new theories, concepts, whatever is possible within some time, stipulated time. You should have a both curiosity and necessity that may be the important for motivating factors of research. If you do not have any imagination before research to be stepped into, one should have a good imagination or storytelling. If you cannot tell a story, then I don't think that the research is fully completed. If you are able to tell a story, that means you are imagining the situation and telling your fact from the inside, then that is called the research. It is not that the book knowledge, or it is not that you read the large number of literatures and then come out with some conclusion. It is not that. Something should come from the inside only. It should birth from the inside. So therefore, some curiosity and necessity may be the different. If you look at that, if you walk with your small children along a road, while walking along with you, you will see that your son or daughter is asking a lot of questions. So that means he or she is curious to know. That also is nothing but a research only, because while walking along the road, he or she is discovering many unknown things which is not known to him or her. So therefore, he is very much curious and he is trying to learn from asking the question. So this is also one kind of research. So it is motivating. So understanding, analyzing, and explanation of the social phenomena are also the primary motivating factors. Okay. Now, here I have defined a simple way what is research. So if you look at, I have just put that the research. What is the meaning of the re? Re means it is nothing but the once more, afresh, anew, or back with return to some previous state. Okay. So I am emphasizing here that the state. Okay. Then search. Search means look throughout the, or go over the, throughout the looking something. That means what we are trying to do, we are trying to search something. So research in altogether is nothing but the you are searching something, but if you fail, do not stop. You go on doing the continuation. One time or once upon a time, you will definitely success if your searching is towards the right path. So it is nothing but a paradigm shifting from the one path to another path, one journey to another journey, one space to another space. Like that only it is going. Okay. So now we can say that the learned businessman wants to launch its company in Malaysia. So this is a question. Okay. Just giving an example how to carry out a research. So what I mentioned here, a learned businessman wants to launch its company in some country, say Malaysia. Okay. Now, what is he doing? He is in a process of decision making because he has to launch this company. Okay. So whenever the decision making process starts, so decision making needs some conviction. And if you look at the conviction, we can mention there should be no doubts. You can have the knowledge to justify your decisions, and you can have some goals for achieving that. Okay. Then So we can say that the research is basically an organized and systematic way of finding answers to questions. So there are many points mentioned here: organized, systematic, and finding the answer to questions. Now, if you look at, so then question comes to the mind that what is the research methodology? Means what type of methodology will be adopted to carry out the research. So it is basically a systematic way of solving a difficulties problem. Okay. So we can always say that it is also describing the search work, research work, explaining the research work, and also predicting. So it is basically a scientific way of explanation of the outcome. So all these parameters together are called as a research methodology. That means what are the parameters? You describe the research work, you explain the research work, and also you predict. All these parameters together we can give a collective name called the research methodology. So it is also explained that as a method of study through which we can gain some knowledge. Basically, we do the research for gaining some knowledge. So one research should not stop at that point. It should bring many more further research. So that is the meaning of the it is nothing but the tree. Okay, if you really look at the tree, lot of branches are there. So one particular research should open the lot of branches. So therefore, then only we call the research. If we are not able to open the branches, then definitely it is simply a problem solving method. That's all. So research methodology is nothing but the structure is the tree. We will come to that the slide. So continuing that, we can say it is a path through which researchers need to conduct their research. So every researcher should know that this methodology is describing a path through which that he or she need to conduct their basic work, which is known as the research. It also shows that the path through which we can find it out the researchers formulate their problem, because you have to know that some protocol to formulate the problem, its objective, and to present that result, because after getting the knowledge, your presentation also should be in the proper way, otherwise there will be no meaning. If you, for example, that I will mention that we have a basically from the radiation physics a Monte Carlo simulation. It is a very useful code. MCNP we always say Monte Carlo neutral particle or end particle. In that code, if you give some input parameter, it will give a huge number of output. Now, if the output is not organized, nobody will understand what we have done. So ultimately, it will be linked as a garbage in and garbage out. So there will be no research. So if you really have to have a good outcome, so the outcome also should be explained in a nice way. So therefore, we can say that you can look at what are the other people's comment on that. I have just quoted from the many people. For example, Redman and Mori, he has mentioned that they have mentioned that research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Fred Kerlinger, he has mentioned that it is an organized inquiry designed and carried out to provide information for solving a problem. Similarly, other two guys also have comment on their research methodology. Means they are feeling that research methodology is a careful inquiry or examination to discover new information. Similarly, the last man, Robert Rose, he has also mentioned that it is essentially an investigation, a recording and analysis of evidence for the purpose of gaining knowledge. So these are the comments from the different people. Now, if you look at what are the common understanding of the research methodology, because we have to really explain that a common understanding. Otherwise, if we travel from Tamil Nadu to West Bengal to North India, then different people have a different research platform. We cannot carry out the research then. Okay. So therefore, research is a systematic process of collecting and analyzing the information. Information, I have a given name as a data, basically, to know that to increase our understanding of the phenomena. Okay. Then we can say that the research is an art of scientific investigation, and all these three bullets is explaining here. It is a movement from the known to unknown. It is a journey from systematic method of finding solution to a problem search, for knowledge through objective, and it is the pursuit of the truth with the help of the study, observation, comparison, and experiment. Okay. Now you see that now question is that why conduct research? If you look at that figure, so there should be some question posed to you. So there must be some reason, and that reason you have to think about by collecting the lot of evidences and prove that yes, this is the really correct. So therefore you have a reason, and to get that reasoning you have to have some kind of good objective. So therefore why we conduct the research? To solve the unknown problem in a systematic way. That was the meaning. So again, if you look at here, that was a pictorial representation. If you look at here, we do the research by fulfilling the objective, because in the objective we have mentioned here to carry out the exploratory or formulative the research. We wanted to study to portray the accurately characteristics of a particular individual situation or a group, which is a descriptive research. We have a diagnostic research. We have a hypothesis testing research. Lot of hypothesis we have to claim, and then we have to prove that yes, this is correct. For example, if you see that I wanted to know that whether quinine is a good medicine for malaria or not. So what we will do, we will apply this for a large number of people and then segregate that how many people have recovered from that malaria and how many people have not recovered. So we will arrange all these things into a contingency table, what we call the 2x2 factor table, and from there we will do the chi-square test. And if we can prove that my calculated value of the chi-square for a degree of freedom with a confidence level of 95%, or 0.05 or 5% level of significance, it is less than the table value, then we will accept the hypothesis. So this way, this is also a research. So we come to know if it is a hypothesis accepted, then we know that yes, malaria medicine is or vaccine is nothing but the quinine. So this is the hypothesis testing research. Now if you see that when you do that, if you wanted to become a researcher, if you wanted to implement, you have to have a design. Like many other design, research also can be given a name as a research design. So the research design is a descriptive case study. You can have a mixed method. Mixed method means you have a quantitative method or you may have a qualitative method. In the case of the qualitative method, you have to nurture the many information collecting from the either teacher or literature. If you carry out the literature survey, that means literatures are nothing but the teacher to you, who is teaching that what is happening. If you look at this figure, this is giving you the field research. You have the ethnography. You can have a direct observation. You can have the participant observation. From there, you can do some kind of case study. Or if you go to the other branch, you have a qualitative interview, and from there also you can have a case study. So this it is giving you that from the ethnography, you either have a direct observation or qualitative interviews. So therefore, from the qualitative you can reach to the case study, or from the direct observation you can go through the participant observation, and then so any field is there, so definitely you have to give the respect to the team. That is the meaning of the participant observation. Okay. So we have to see that what are the characteristics of research. If you look at this slide, you will see that the research is directed towards the solution of a problem we have already mentioned, which is based upon some observable experience or empirical evidence. So again, if you see that the research demands accurate observation. Okay. Now many of the time you do not know what is accurate. Okay. So that is a debatable question. So therefore, hypothesis is required to carry out that it is a judgment basically, that what is the accuracy. Then research involves the gathering of the new data from primary sources or using the existing data for a new purpose. Historical research is always the existing thing. From that existing part, how to get the new knowledge. Research requires the expertise. As Dr. Kulswamy mentioned that some skilled person is required, but not necessary. That skill is necessary to carry out some investigation. So therefore, the senior research fellow will give that his skill, and from there junior will learn. So research is also a learning methodology, I can mention from here. So now, if you look at what are the types of research, there are various types of research is there. You can call it as a quantitative, you can call it a basic research or fundamentals, applied research, longitudinal, qualitative, descriptive, classification research, and then comparative research, explorative research, explanatory research, causal research, theory testing, theory building, and action research. So these 14 varieties are there for research. So therefore, whenever you are carrying out research, you have to first thematically organize that which side you will do, whether comparative research, explorative, or the previous slide, if you look at whether fundamental, applied, there are people carry out the fundamental research and may not be having any value to the society, but it is not. Today's fundamental cannot be the tomorrow's value. Today's fundamental can be after 10 years value. Because I can give my own experience. I did my PhD in the computer science, because that when I tried to do the PhD, I had demanded that I would like to do the artificial intelligence, and I am talking about the 1992. In the year of 1992, AI has simply launched in the business community. When I proposed, my senior has told that oh, you are having lot of natural intelligence. Why do you go for the artificial intelligence? So this proverb everywhere I mention. So he has not understood that what is artificial intelligence. I cannot argue because he is my boss. So therefore, I try to search more and more, and then convinced him one day that this is the artificial intelligence. Today's artificial intelligence, if I carry out, I may not be having tomorrow, but after 10 years, this particular exploration can be very good in nuclear science and technology and many other. And really today it is 100% true, and I am happy that many of my algorithms, many of my innovations are being used by worldwide researchers, and many of the software they have implemented my algorithm. So that is the basically research. So your research, today's research cannot be the tomorrow's fruit. Fruit you will get after 10 years at the most. So therefore, my purpose of taking you to this journey, that what is the grouping of research type? You have seen that what are the 14 varieties of research is there. So all these research we can group them. Okay, if we group them, you have a descriptive versus analytical, you have the applied versus fundamental, and then qualitative versus quantitative, and then conceptual versus empirical. All these 14 varieties, I can group them into these 4 categories. Okay. So if you know that here, research steps, you have the research question, you carry out some method selection or some sample selection, then you collect the data, okay, with respect to this methodology or sample selection, and that data we will analyze. Now see that, as I mentioned first time, the research should not stop. So if you do the collection of the data and simply do some statistical analysis, it will stop. But if I try to look at the data from the mining angle, it has given an evolution, data mining. Today we have a data analytics. Today we have done so many things. Data analytics, when you go for the device, we have a blockchain, we have a IoT. So therefore the research is that exactly which will open the new branches or new leaves. And automatically, if the branches are proper, it will give the food to the particular leaves, and if the leaves food is prepared, then definitely fruit will obviously get. And fruit in a tree is nothing but the sometimes flower. If it is a flower based tree, if it is a fruit, you will get a fruit. So that is the basic actually of the research. So now if we go to that, so therefore there are various stages to be research to be carried out. One of the stage is that if you pose a problem, to search the problems, how many people have done similar kind of problem, you would need to have a explanation of the research problem, literature survey, and the collection of references. All these 3 will be collecting called as a selection of the topic of the research. Then you have the assessment of present status of the selected topic. You have to formulate the hypothesis. This is very important. If you are not able to formulate the hypothesis, that means your imagination is not there. You cannot tell a story. If you look at the politicians, they tell a story. Okay, whether truth or not, we do not know. But at the momentarily, if we present, if we listen, we always answer that, accept that it is a truth. But later on, we can prove that we can disprove that. But at momentary stage, we can always accept that. So therefore, the hypothesis is very important. They are very much powerful to formulate the hypothesis, and that is why they are politicians. Everybody cannot become the politicians because hypothesis formulation is not the easy job. Then we have to have a design of research. We can have a real investigation. That means we can have the analysis, interpretation, and then finally, as I mentioned, that whatever you do, damn thing, until and unless you produce a report, we cannot do. So report generation. For example, that in a scientific organization, if you generate a report and that report, if you tell to the parliament people will throw that report, because to them, what report you have put that the mean of this thing, median of this thing, percentile, all these things you have put scientifically because you know that language. But when it comes to the social media, like a parliament house, then they will report. They will never understand because they are not the scientists, they are not the economists, they are not the statisticians. So therefore, they will see the simple say that what rubbish report you have generated. So therefore, report generation, when you have to do, you have to translate into a natural language. And if you look at a natural language processing with the data is bringing a augmented data analytics, which is very, very important. That means one side you do the analytics, and the other side you translate that analytics in the form of a natural language, so a common man, a layman will understand. And if you produce that report, yes, this thing will be accepted by the parliament. So yeah, so the research hypothesis is, so you have the guesses, you can have the multiple hypotheses, you can test, so many other things you can test it. Okay, so then you have a quantitative research. Quantitative research is nothing but based on methodological principles of positivism and neo-positivism. It adheres to standards of strict research design. As I mentioned that it is a statistical analysis which can be used in it. You have a basic research where purpose of gaining knowledge, advanced understanding about the social world. It helps in understanding, support, and rejecting the hypothesis. Okay. Then again, you see that the applied research. In this applied research, we have an aim to solve the specific problems with respect to using some scientific techniques. You have an aim to establish the policy programs which will help to improve the social life. And there are types of applied research which can be called as a action research. One of the important part is known as the cost-benefit analysis or evaluation research. You can have a longitudinal research. Here what we do, it involves the study of the sample at more than one point in the time or occasion. For example, the trend analysis, if you wanted to know that the panel studies, all these things we can carry out in this chart, that is called longitudinal research. Then you have the cross-sectional research, which involves study of many cases at one point in time or occasion. So we have a qualitative research. Apart from this, we have the qualitative research. So we can have that in this case, most of the time the symbolic interactionism will be occurred, or one of the word I have used that the hermeneutics can be used as a qualitative research to explain some phenomenology. It aims at exploration of the social world. If you look at some comment from this particular guy, that is the following elements are three: exploration, relationship, discovery, establishing constant, testing hypothesis. So qualitatively, you have to judge that whether your outcome or goal is fulfilling or not. And you know that many of the AI techniques or artificial intelligence techniques, pattern recognition, if you look at the social world is based on the qualitative research. No scientific, just make the various kind of rules and formulate and concomitant rules you extract from that, and from there you can easily find it out what should be the goal. So descriptive research, of course, it is required, and it usually performs preliminary study of a research project. Whenever you carry out, if you really want it to become a research, if you plan, so first of all, problem after selection, you have to carry out some kind of description. What are the things you are required? It aims at describe social events, relations and events. It provides background information about an event in question. Now we have a classification research. This is a very important point. Here you are basically aiming at categorization of the units into groups. You wanted to know that to demonstrate that the differences, and you also require to explain that the relationship. If you carry out this kind of thing in a research event, this is known as the classification research. Of course, you can do the comparative research. That means your outcome should be comparable with the others. So therefore, to identify the similarities and the differences between units at all the levels, that is called as a comparative research. Exploratory research, of course, if you have collected the data, you can explore to the extent it is possible. So it aims at gaining information about an issue in hand. Explanatory, of course, you can explain your outcome, that is social relations and events. You can build to test or revise a theory. That is the meaning of the explanatory research. Then casual research, very good point for an economist. It aims at establishing cause and effect relationship among variables. And many of the time, whenever we try to find out that the infectious disease spread or spread of an infectious disease, we do by the epidemiology. So basic idea of the epidemiological research is nothing but the cause and effect relationship. That is why it is called the causality. Okay, there are many areas in the causality. Cannot be touched all this, but there are very good events, and with the help of the AI technique, lot of things can be innovated. Okay, so we can always have a comparison between types of research. I am not reading the thing. You can, as I mentioned, that you can compare the descriptive versus analytical. You can compare the applied versus fundamental. You can also compare between the quantitative and qualitative. So that way you can compare and carry out your research where we developing. Now, when you do this thing, many of the basic research will require the theory to be formulated. So what are the concepts of theory? If you look at this code empiricism, it is said to denote observations and propositions based on sense experience and or derived from such experience by methods of inductive logic. So inductive logic we can implement, which includes the mathematics and statistics both together to conceptualize a theory. So it is basically empirical research which may rely on experience and observation. You can have a database type of research to develop a theory, or you can also have a evidence collected. Because if you look at suppose you have to do the mountaineering engineering, what you have to do, somebody has to climb the mountain, but every time is not possible to climb the mountain. So, but you have to get the data on the soil located at the peak point. What you have to do, you have to collect those kind of engineers, and you have to ask them various query in the questionnaire format. They will give the data to you with the help of the data. That means that is the evidence to you. With the help of the evidence, you have to develop a theory called as a evidence theory, which is very, very important in artificial intelligence. And Dempster and Schaeffer, they have provided their theory, because when you collect the data, conflict resolution technique you have to adopt so that two experts cannot be conflicted with each other. Same way, your research outcome should not be conflicted with many others. So therefore, the concept of theory with the help of the evidence is an important example for the formulation of a theoretical research. Okay. Then you can have a deductive theory. Here also same thing. This is a much stronger and different bond between reasons and conclusion than is found with the induction. And if you see that the deduction is a valid if it is impossible for the conclusion to be false if the reasons are true. I have given an example that for giving the reason, John is a regular employee. Reason number 2, all regular employee can be trusted. So what should be the conclusion? John can be trusted. So this kind of technology, today's forum is very, very important. In earlier days, in the year of 1992, when we started the AI, we used to call that the production rules or problem solving. So that same thing has come forward, translated, and today it has come back to this shape, so we can do that some kind of relation. So it is a deductive theory. We have an inductive theory. Inductive argument is radically different. If you look at the importance I have mentioned here, there is no such strength of relationship between reasons and conclusion in induction. The conclusion explains the facts and the facts support the conclusion. If I give us the example, what is the conclusion? Light bulb has burned out. First reason, the light should go on when you push the switch. Second reason, if the bulb is burned out, the light will not function. So this is the conclusion. So therefore, when you go for the inductive theory, many of the time in mathematics we do the induction. No? So because it is not possible, so we take that the n power as a 1 and then we prove that. If we took that the n2, it is proving, and then finally we prove that since for all n it is proved, so this is true. So that is an induction process. Same kind of thing, we can always say that a system is coming, some output has come, you are putting lot of queries to it, where from it has come. So then finally you are inducing, you are putting your all the logic, and then with the help of the logic you are drawing the conclusion. Same thing is here. So that is the meaning of the inductive theory. So basically inductive argument is radically different. Then you can have the inductive research approach, which is a at the rate of moving from specific observations to broader generalization and theories, at the rate of conclusion is likely based on facts, and at the rate of involves a degree of uncertainty, and at the rate of this is a bottom-up approach. Okay, research also can be a bottom-up and top-down. Okay, now whenever we solve a problem, if we know the solution, then we are always going towards that solution. Okay, now sometimes it happens solution we do not know. In case of the many of the research, solution we may not be knowing. So therefore it is a bottom up. That means goal driven. We wanted to know the goal. Or if I give some conclusion, suppose for example, at your house some event has occurred. You do not know what for. So to solve that what for, so you are bringing the police people. Okay, assuming that some theft has occurred. So now what you do, police people will come and they will inquire lot of things, and they will slowly put their induction, deductive, all these mechanism when you do, and finally they will conclude. And all these things in a simple word is known as the Bayesian statistics. So therefore one have to know that the proposition, and that proposition wise you have to proceed. So that is called the Bayesian statistics. There are many variations that we will come to know whenever some new techniques, means whenever some new opportunity will come. So utility of research is that research is an aid to decision making. Research facilitates the process of thinking, analysis, evaluation, and so on. Research provides a basis for innovation. It gives some kind of new technology for developing new products. Research identifies the problem areas. This is also important. Many of the time, for example, that many of the people in the mathematics domain, they have solved the differential equation. If I give a differential equation, you know how to solve. But if I give you the fact and ask you that they construct the differential equation first, then there is a problem. So research is that part where you can formulate the problem by knowing the fact. Okay, and other later part is the problem solving. If you know that the XYZ, then okay. For example, if I give you some raw vegetables from the market, say potato, onion, tomatoes, and ask you make a vegetable. Now raw materials you have, but if you know the method how to cook and all these things, then only. So therefore the question is that utility of research is first important. You have to know that how to formulate the problem. Okay, if you do not know that how to formulate the problem, then there is a stopgap in the research. So to implement the research, formulation of the problem is very important. That is why in the 5th standard or 7th standard, we always give that word making problem. You give the word making problem, develop the mathematics from that. So therefore, so we can say that it extends, verifies or corrects knowledge. It extends, verifies or corrects knowledge. It answers questions such as what, when, where, why, and how. So these are the linguistics should be always to be answered in case of a research problem. It enables us to have a better understanding of our world, and we can say that it establishes many kind of building block, and it initiates, formulates, deflects, and clarifies the theory. Okay, so now what are the things it can give? It helps delineate causal relationship, as I mentioned, and enables better control over the event. So if you look at some white part, that it aids in purpose planning at the national level and thus promotes national development. It also enables testing of alternative approach to an issue. The same research can be carried out by different techniques. So that is the meaning of some alternative approach also to be there. So therefore we can say that the research is an aid to forecasting, which is an effective tool in the hands of manager. Okay, manager is a very light word I have purposefully used, because you don't think that the research is a management problem. Okay, if you are a manager, means managing that this way, you are doing some other wrong thing. So research helps all the managerial functions. Many of the times we call that the jugaad technology. That is a managerial help function, because people are very much curious to get the solution of the problem. What he will do, he will induct the many people and ask him that you do this job, you do this job, you do this job, and finally whatever that this thing outcome will come, he will collect. Whatever that this thing outcome will come, he will collect and produce the report to his boss. So ultimately, has he done the research? He has not done the research. These other people have done the research, because I know that the very 2-3 examples. One fellow was doing the PhD in some university, Garhwal University, and he was supposed to do that, they carry out the Ganga River study. He called his boy and he told that, okay, you carry out the samples, you give me the sample, you go to this particular place and then bring some rock and find it out. All these things after 1 month he collected and produced you can say that a collection of the outcome, and then finally he wrote the thesis. When the thesis viva gave, he was not in a position to answer. Many of the time he was telling, oh, many of the times you answered, nah, the software has done, because we do not know what software is, a black box to me. So software has done. So this kind of answer also he gave. And finally, it is a real fact, the examiner did not award him PhD thesis. Rather, he told that since you have done this much of effort, 50,000 rupees I am giving to you, but you are not entitled for getting the doctoral degree. That's all. So this is the meaning of it is a jugaad technology or managerial information. So research is an aid to management information system. Research is helpful in the formulation of some kind of policy strategy. Of course, if you do the market analysis, basket analysis, lot of business management question will come into picture. So the importance of research methodology, we have mentioned that you have to design a methodology which is necessary for the difficulty which is going to be solved. Research methodology is important because researchers should not only know about the problem but also about the method of solving it. Okay, if I try to solve the problem, okay, but if I do not know how to formulate the problem, then I may not be in a position to do the research. So the below points explain us the role of methodology. It aids in selecting the best method to solve the problem. It tells about the output of selected method and its accuracy. It aids in knowing the efficiency of the method. Whatever the method will develop should be having a highest efficiency. So, okay. So next is that there must be a significance of the research. What are the significance? The social research aids in searching the solutions to the social difficulties. Research leads to the modern lifestyle and fills it with glory and happiness. If you get some award and all these things, you will always feel that my research has given a lot of this thing to me. So sometimes it's really good. And if you see your name has appeared in some international journal in the form of a publication, yes, it is glorious to you. If you look at here, this is a research problem. Problem is that the spatial multi-criteria decision analysis. So there are many layers are in the soil, as I showed here. We are collecting the data, and this particular problem we have to have a framework. And if you look at the framework, so there are many icons or many tablets are here where it is showing that the how to flow the research. If you look at that, you can follow this path that, and then you have a decision analysis. You can go for the further decision. Then ultimately, because a huge number of multi-criteria is to be adopted, idea is that we have to know that a particular landscaping problem, so how to collect the data from the different area and to find it out what are the quality of the data. Okay, so this is the basic idea. Okay. Then again, if you look at there is an example of spatial modeling. So we call that the suitability analysis. This suitability analysis may be having a category of the feasibility, vulnerability, and sensitivity. So what we try to do, we try to calculate the optimal site locations by identifying the possible influential factors, the optimal suitability map that may provide new insight into the ideas where a new site should be located. So that means we can have a hydrologic modeling, we can have a distress modeling. If we try to do the hydrologic modeling in the open area, so we require to carry out a lot of sample analysis, and it's a very huge area. So we have to make a protocol that where to do the samples and where not to do the samples. So therefore, spatial modeling is very, very important for that. Remaining part that the data has to be submitted in the form of a differential equation, solve the differential equation and get the outcome, and again validate with respect to some experimental observations. So therefore we may have a quantitative data. From this point you can see that you have the rates, you may have the incidence and prevalence. If it is an epidemiological problem, you have a close-ended questions. Then you can have a discrete data where the data can be in whole numbers. For example, a 47 years old, a patient, I collect the data. Then you may have a continuous data, you can have a categorical data, you may have a ordinal data. So there are many kind of quantitative data can be grouped into this format. Okay, so if you look at, there are certain tools for the collection of the quantitative information. So one is that the face-to-face reviews, web, phone, mail, and then central location enter. So these are the various tools for qualitative information. Similarly, you may have a qualitative data. In the qualitative data, as I mentioned, that some kind of perceptions play into role, some quotations, experience or observations, and some open-ended question. If you have some kind of tool, here the tools are online forms, online communities, web survey, focus groups, and depth interviews. So these are the qualitative tools, means the tools for collecting the qualitative information. So some examples I have given. You may have a difference between what is the qualitative method and quantitative methods and qualitative method. If you look at the quantitative method, you will complete a survey, and based on some kind of symptoms, you collect the data. Then you measure their symptoms before and after taking the medicine, if it is a biological research. Now, in the case of the qualitative, you find out that they interview the patients. For example, here we can say that the quantitative method is nothing but the allopathic, and here when you try to interview the patients, we call that the homeopathy. So therefore, homeopathy medicine is a qualitative, whereas quantitative is an allopathy. So this is the difference between a quantitative methods and qualitative methods. So there are some tools to collect and present data. As I mentioned that, what are the tools? Out of all the tools, statistics is a tool that is used for quantitative research. In the statistics, we try to give some kind of interpretation in the form of a graphs, narrations, tables, and so on. In the case of the qualitative research, use the non-statistical tools, as I showed that. So graphs definitely can be used to present. So one should know that the interpretation of the graphs. Many of the times in the research paper we have seen that authors have just given the graphs but not interpreted. Then that paper cannot be published, because interpretation means he might have got the result and submitted, that's all. But inside what is happening, what is the come out from the graph, that he has not explained. So very difficult to accept that paper in the journal. So if you look at the graphs, I have a graph. From that, if I simply give this graph and not interpret it, then what is the meaning? So automatically a question will come. What is the meaning of that? We can always mention that this graph is showing that some kind of decreasing, maybe having a log normal, if it is a depending on the scale, or if it is a Poisson mode distribution. That means the event has decreased with respect to the time by following this kind of distribution. Similarly, in a pie chart, we can say that how much of percentage is due to this particular event, say A, how much of percentage is due to the event B, and so on. Same here. So whatever the graphs you draw, as a researcher, you are supposed to interpret the graphs, even that tables are there, you have to give the explanation that the tabular part, because many of the time instruments has got a certain limit, it cannot go below that. So if your sample is not responding to that instrument, you will simply say that the below detection limit. Suppose you have taken some 5 samples, out of 5 samples you have got the 4 samples below detection limit, and with the 1 sample you are mentioning that is a mean. Is it a really mean? I don't think that is a mean. You have to research it out. What are those BDLs? Why they are not responding? Same sample, if you switch over to the another lab which has got the highest instrument, you will get some reading. So that means that your readings is wrong. So what you have to do, you have to bring that type of instrument. Now again, if you take the race, then there should be some cost benefit, because you are putting some 4 crores for getting those below detection limit data and no outcome, then there is no benefit. That therefore the cost implementation cost or expenditure incurred definitely not worth. So always you have to have a cost benefit solution. That is the meaning of the interpretation. So you have a quant data for file example. So I have shown some kind of table where whatever the data you have to, before proceeding further, this part is very, very important. There should be a data quality objective. That means that my data should have a high quality. So quality assurance and quality control for the data by which we are interpreting some result should be judged or should be assessed with a skilled person, and we have to educate that how to do the quality assurance and quality control. Yesterday I was getting some data from the ISRO for solar power installation, and then find it out that many of the data do not follow the good quality. So I tried to write, now today I will write them that the data given to me is not of high quality. Either you have put the data or you have taken some average and processed that. So therefore, with this processed data, we cannot do any kind of interpretation. What are the questions you pose to me to answer? So therefore, quality assurance and quality control is very, very important aspect. And as you know that if I try to report, my data file should be a standard protocol to be followed. This is the meaning of this particular slide, is giving the basic theme that data file format should be properly mentioned. Like that, we know that the comma separated file, CSV file, we know that the delimiter, a lot of delimiters. So everywhere the data can be readable. I will send some data to you from the Monte Carlo MC&P. People may not be in a position to extract anything, what is information, because data is not having that format. But if I formulate the data in the form of the comma separated file, then obviously you can understand. So therefore, data file format is very, very important. So therefore, qualitative data analysis is required. When you go for the data analysis, some kind of programming you have to do, but not very, you know that the computer programming, when you do, it is not like a coding. Okay, many of the time in early days, we used to do that when punch card was there as an input device, we used to say that I code, she program, and he key punches. Like that, only these 3 code we used to use. So therefore, computer programming is not the coding, rather shifting through verbatim responses in patients' own words and bucketizing the results according to themes you detect. It used for both qualitative and quantitative research. Patient insight can be very useful here, but also could introduce the bias, so be aware. So therefore, whenever we try to do this thing, so we have to be very careful. Fine. So coming back to that, we have to have a lot of data analysis, and as you know today, data analysis, sometimes we call that the statistical modeling, sometimes we call that the data analytics. So people always like the buzzword. So when you go for the data analytics, so jump into the new domain without judging by themselves. Now if you look at, if you ask some people, okay, you are carrying the data analytics, I'll give you that this data. You simply identify is it big data or small data. Then you will see that very often people will be having a zero answer that it is not that the big data, but if people they will say that it is not the big data. That means what is big, what is not big, that idea is not there. Then where is the further research? So therefore, whenever you go for the data analytics or buzzword, we have to be very careful. So then we have to have a statistical segment. This is a very good point because many of the time your results always we mention that a parameter called the p value. That means level of significance. Now if you ask that what is that p value? Referee asks many other time. You have got the p value. How did you calculate the p value? No answer. Maximum answer will be that I have used the software. But that is the problem of the research, because if you have the software, then software has done something, he has solved your problem, but have you understood that? This is not. So to become a researcher, each and every step should be thoroughly understood, especially when you go for the data analysis, especially to code for the statistical significance. You have to understand what is the meaning of statistical significance. 5% level of significance is giving that the 95% level of confidence. How one has to understand. Okay, so this is the point to be mentioned that. Then again, as you know that when you carry out the simple statistical, you have a central tendency measure where you got about mean, median, mode. Maximum results comes up to this, and then later on forget. Even if you try to see that you have done the many of the times I have seen students have done the linear regression analysis, right? So they have taken a simple observation in the laboratory, voltage versus current, and plot a graph, and it passes to the origin mentioning that V proportional to I, and V by I is equal to some constant which is nothing but the resistance. As usual, it is an Ohm's law. Now if the V is varying and I is varying, do we have the resistance? Resistance also will vary. If the voltage is following a distribution, say normal distribution, and current is following a log normal distribution, whether the resistance will follow the normal or log normal, answer may be different from the different student. So therefore, this is a research question. Whenever we try to do the measures of central tendency, mean, median, mode, standard deviation is okay. But if you try to impose the variability of the problem and try to find it out the uncertainty of the system, then there will be a problem. So research implementation means here that uncertainty modeling, quantitative analysis, sensitivity of the issues we have to resolve. So that's it. So therefore, as I mentioned that the measures of spread, we always carry out standard deviation. But this standard deviation, is it a sample standard deviation or population standard deviation? Many of the time, no difference from many researchers, no difference, because he is doing the sample analysis at the laboratory. Population standard deviation is a standard deviation which is population. Population size is totally different. Now, sample standard deviation he is doing, but he is quoting the population standard deviation, which is not correct. And then if you do okay, you are doing the standard deviation, you have done the measures of spread. This is a research question. Have you taken care of how many explanatory variables gives this result? Now he does not know what is the explanatory variables, so there is a problem. So if I look that why I am saying that sigma n minus 1 is nothing but my sample standard deviation. But if I group that is sigma n minus 2, that is all sample standard deviation. Why that the 1 change into the 2? If I put this question, why that the 2 comes from the explanatory variables? It may be that the mean one of the parameter, it may be another parameter which also can be explained with the same result. So there are two explanatory variables. That means I have a consumer price index which can depend on the labor and which can also depend on the cognition of the labor. So therefore, if I try to do these two parameters, then sigma will be definitely for a sample of say 5 or 10 people, sigma n minus 2, not sigma n minus 1. So that has to be. So these are the small issues for becoming a good researcher to be implemented. Then again, as you mentioned that the data tables and graphs can be done. Fine. So these are the distribution as I showed. Many of the times if you see that if I have a normal distribution and if I transform the data into a log and then find out again normal distribution. You ask the candidate that is it a normal distribution? He will say it is a normal distribution. And this is another difficulty. You have a graph. Okay, researcher has drawn a graph. X-axis is a log scale. Y-axis is also a log scale. This is a log graph. Then if we ask that what is the relation, it is basically a power law. But if he is not in a position to interpret, he will simply keep mum. So that's the meaning of the interpretation of the graph is very, very important. When to use the log graph, when not to use log graph. So that is why in our case at BRC, any new candidate comes, we try to understand whether he will be able to bear the research by judging his graphical understanding. We ask several times almost all candidates, you plot the graph and explain. So many of the time answers are almost zero, so we reject the candidate. That's the meaning of, I learned also myself that when I interviewed my area and at the time of the 1981-83, so I have been asked that this many of the senior officers, you interpret. I could interpret, and then they asked that okay, you can join that. So that is the meaning of that. The interpretation is most important. So this is a cross-type example and discussion. You see that many of the causal effect relations. Exactly, we call that the 2 by 2. If I try to give that the increase and no change, here are the exercise group. This is the cause and these are the effect. So therefore, we can call this as a, and from there we can do a lot of research. Can be doing the odds ratio calculation, can carry out the risk analysis, can do the prevalence, or can do the incidence level analysis. So therefore, the interpretation and conclusion, we already mentioned that many of the time. So describing the data in the first step, you interpret, and ultimately what do you recommend, that is most important. Okay. So now I am showing you the simple one example. Suppose I have a so many data I have collected, and as you are seeing, the left hand side rows are giving alternate and right hand side columns are giving the lot of parameters. Parameters are mentioned here. It is nothing but a bearing material. I have to select the bearing material. There are many companies which manufacture with respect to these parameters. Now, if I have to purchase this, this is a research question. Suppose my boss has asked me, okay, you procure some bearing material. Now I have to collect the data from the parameters of the bearing material, and then there are many companies which supply. I have to select one particular company, not two. Now how to select? So therefore, this is a research problem. This is called actually a decision making. If you are a good researcher, you are a good decision maker. If you are not good decision maker, your research will be stopped somewhere. That means you have simply solved the problem. The moment that the problem domain changes, your decision also will fluctuate. Okay. So therefore, this particular problem is done by a technique called you have seen that the outcome only I am showing here. So order of the preference of the different alternatives, and the best alternative is 7. That means if you look at that, the seventh manufacturer with these parameters only, I will quote for the purchasing of the procuring of that bearing material. So the thing is that how to solve that? So this is a multi-criteria decision-making problem, and multi-criteria decision-making problem can be done by many more methods. It is a weighted score method. So it is a sum of additive weighting. There is a technique called TOPSIS, that is called technique of order preference to similarity ideal solution. That's the full meaning of the TOPSIS. We have an analytical hierarchy process, AHP, and then we have a Prometheus. And see, as I mentioned at the very beginning of my presentation, that if you try to become a good researcher, if you try to implement with a proper plan, then definitely you have to understand each and every step that the protocol, that is a research design and type of research. This particular Prometheus, you will be very surprised. It has got 6 versions: Prometheus 1, Prometheus 2, and what is give? It gives the preference ranking organization method for enriched evaluation. So this Prometheus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So up to 5 people have done, but Prometheus 6 is hardly appeared. And why is Prometheus 6 is most important? Prometheus 6 is giving the brain. It gives the research on the brain. So the decision making problem comes from the brain. It is a CPU. So therefore, Prometheus 6, if I do, I can do the many kind of brain metamorphosis problem, which is today is called the cognition or cognitive intelligence. Then you have a goal programming. So therefore, multi-criteria decision making, many of the techniques are very, very important. And in addition to that, there are another method is very evolving. Already I have an association with that author or this inventor who has launched this thing. It is called neutrophobic set theory. From the Mexico City, I had an opportunity to publish a book with him. And that book has got the award in the Mexico City, USA, in the year of the 2014. Okay, and that was the basically called as a neutrophobic set theory. So neutrophobic set theory is that always if you pose a question, that answer will be the true and false, but how much of ignore of that question to that candidate, that he is not known. And if we try to find it out by the cognition, how much of he is really not knowing about that answer of that question, then it is very easy to solve this question. With the help of that, I simply solve a problem to select the faculty at the time of interview. So many faculties came for the interview with respect to some ad, how to take the interview, after taking the interview, how to judge them who is the best. So that we applied by neutrophobic set theory, and today's the neutrophobic set theory can make a havoc decision, and there is no end at all. Every time it gives us the new result. If some opportunity comes, sometime I will explain that what is neutrophobic set theory. So Topsis method, as you know, that you have a qualitative benefit attributes like criteria, you may have a quantitative benefit attributes and then cost attribute. With the help of that, some protocols are there, and we can always follow the Topsis method to get the which is the best selection. So as I mentioned that you have a ideal, alternative, negative, ideal. So here you see I have not used any mathematical techniques. It is simply a qualitative. So first you have to understand the qualitative, then you can formulate with respect to some mathematics. So here I am trying to give, it is ultimately a decision matrix. Decision matrix is always an interaction matrix between the criteria and alternative, okay, or cause and effect. So here there is some score will be there, then that matrix you have to normalize, you have to have a set of benefit attribute, you have a set of negative attribute, and with respect to that, then you can go for the some kind of technique which is already there for the Topsis. I have not mentioned here unnecessarily. And with respect to that, if we go for that, for example, that you can construct the normalization matrix by giving this kind of score, and then from that alternative solutions already can be find it out. And with respect to that, I need to conclude now my webinar. We wanted to become a researcher, we need to understand the first research design, research problem towards its delivery. Methodology you have to know as either quantitative or qualitative. We have to have a thorough understanding, computational, statistical, and mathematical method. We should understand the multi-scale, multi-physics concept. This is the word we always use, which will give you the no boundary, because your scale always change with respect to the time, and the moment you change the scale, your physics also change. So therefore, if you take both the things together, multi-scale, that means a lot of people you are taking. Different people have a different age. Simple example, age is a scale. And multi-physics, because of their age, their thought power is different. So it is a multi-physics. So always we have to have a multi-scale, multi-physics concept to carry out the research and to implement the research with a proper plan. I think I have concluded. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to share some of my thoughts in the research domain. I may be correct, may be wrong, depending on your judgment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so it was a great and informative and useful session for the researcher and research scholars. Thank you very much for your time. So there is some few questions raised by the audience. First question is, so what type of research suits well for mathematical research?
So for the mathematical research, there are at present, if you look at the mathematics can be applied math, mathematics can be core math. Okay, so research, as far as research is concerned, definitely, if you look at if you leave aside the core part, that means that the theoretical formulation of some theorems and axioms and lemma and some kind of thing, in the applied research, mathematics plays a huge role, because it will formulate the problem solving like a differential equation, partial differential equation, and if you look at the mathematics in the finance or in the economics, you will see that there are many techniques from the data analytics. So applied mathematics research will be mixture with the statistics part also. Individual simple domain of applied mathematics will be there, but outcome will be
Got it.
confined within a narrow domain. That's all. So the for the student, my advice will be that they can carry out the applied mathematics with respect to some problem such as say path integral, such as partial differential equation, delay differential equation, discretization, some numerical techniques development is required. Okay. Next question.
Sir, so how to find standard research journals?
Yeah. So, for example, that if I try to do the research on the artificial intelligence, so I should look for the journals catered to this artificial intelligence. Okay. For example, that if you try to carry out the research on the computational methods and data analysis, so therefore a journal is called the computational methods and data analysis, and there are some journals called journal of JSTOR, some journals are there. So depending on your problem set, we should look for that type of journal only. Okay. Otherwise,
Yes, sir.
if you do that the research on some domains X and submitting that the some domain Y, it will be rejected. That's all.
Yes, sir. So next question is, so how to find the quality data is, how to find the data is quality or not?
Yeah, okay.
Quantitative.
This is a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good question
Yes.
because many of the times when you collect the data, there is a really good protocols are there for finding the data quality. Okay, one of the protocol is that, as I mentioned, that suppose that you have a below detection limit data. That means the instruments which you have, that is not sufficient to respond that the data what you or sample what you have. So in that case, to do that, the data quality has to be checked by implementing a technique called expectation maximization algorithm, EM algorithm. And EM algorithm, if we apply, and there are certain techniques called as some kind of substitution methods are there, maximum likelihood, unbiased maximum likelihood, then restricted maximum likelihood. These are some techniques are to be implemented to check the data quality, of course with the help of some non-parametric based statistical tests like signed rank sum test, then Anderson-Darling test. So such kind of tests are there. With respect to that, we can check the quality of the data. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, next question is, does image processing have scope in currently in the research field?
Yeah,
Image
this is
processing based project.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
This is a very good research in one of the frontal research in the artificial intelligence domain, because as you see that I'm just giving a problem to many students that now today's we are running out the COVID patient. Maximum time a COVID candidate is getting die because of the lower respiratory problem, and in early time lower respiratory problems was addressing to the lung infection. So if I take a chest X-ray and then try to find it out that the infection, how it occurred, and is there any further direction towards the other organ. So the image processing will be the first and foremost important area of research for carrying out such kind of answer, for answering those questions. This is the one thing. Another thing is that the breast cancer, I have the huge amount of images, huge. Now I have already involved in that domain, that and my students are doing a very good work actually. So we wanted to carry out the research to understand whether really it is a breast cancer or that the tissue is really malignant or not. In order to do that, you require only the image processing. During my time last year, I developed with my team electronic portal imaging dosimetry, EPID we call. Okay, and it has been implemented in many of the hospitals throughout the country. What is the purpose that when you apply a radiotherapy to a patient, so we do not know how much depth of the tumor lies in the or inside the body. So depending on that, we require to intensify my beam. Now, if I do not know that the depth distribution curve, how do I know? So through the image technique only we'll come to know. And we took the imaging of the different phantoms and process that image and then develop this instrument. So image processing is giving you this kind of instrument development. That is the important.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, last question is, what are the basic needs for research students? Can you give some guidelines?
Yeah. Basic needs for the research student is that he should be, I will not say very good, but he should have a good understanding of the mathematical methods, rather mathematical physics. He should be very good in numerical techniques, and he should be good in statistical analysis. That's all. These are the
Yes, sir.
three important points for a student to be carry out the research.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir,
Sir, Dr.
Thank
Datta,
you,
sir,
Yes, sir.
you have mesmerized close to 2,000 members online for the last 1 hour, and I could see your dedication towards research, and you explained so nicely. Even for a newcomer can get into this research, he will be motivated after seeing your presentation. It is such a wonderful presentation, and I wish you come physically to our college, Sri Ishwar College of Engineering, and
Sure, sir.
mesmerize my students and faculty members also, sir. So on this occasion, I thank you on behalf of all the participants and on behalf of Sri Ishwar College of Engineering and Dr. Ananda Kumar. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for joining, and we look forward to another opportunity where we can interact with you, sir. Thanks for joining with us. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome. I am always there, so you can always take my service.
Thank you.
Whatever.
இங்கேதான் அன்பு கிடைத்தது, பண்பு கிடைத்தது, நட்பு கிடைத்தது, கனவு கிடைத்தது நம் ஈஸ்வர் கல்லூரி. இங்கேதான் தெளிவு கிடைத்தது, அறிவு கிடைத்தது, அறமும் கிடைத்தது, அனைத்தும் கிடைத்தது நம் ஈஸ்வர் கல்லூரி. பசுமை வண்ணம் கொண்ட சூழலிலே மயில்கள் கொண்ட எம் கல்லூரியே, ஒற்றுமைக்கும் தேசிய கொடியும் இங்கே நம் ஈஸ்வர் கல்லூரியே. அக்கறை கொண்ட நிர்வாகம் அது எங்கள் உத்வேகம், ஆசிரியர்கள் எல்லோரும் வெற்றிகளின் அஸ்திவாரம். ஆதவன் இல்லாமல் விடியல் ஏது, பாதைகள் இல்லாமல் பயணம் ஏது, கேள்விகள் இல்லாமல் விடைகள் ஏது, ஈஸ்வர் கல்லூரி இல்லாமல் இன்பம் ஏது. கம்யூனிட்டி சென்டர், ஓப்பனர் தியேட்டர், அங்கே உலகம் கற்றுக்கொள்வோமே. நம் காலேஜின் பிளேஸ்மெண்ட் அது என்றும் சூப்பர், அங்கே வேலையும் பெற்றுக்கொள்வோமே. 4 ஆண்டுகளே என்றாலும் ஒரு குடும்பம் போல வாழ்ந்திடுவோம். 40 ஆண்டுகள் கடந்த பின்னும் நம் கல்லூரி நாட்களை போற்றிடுவோம். இந்த நிலையை நாங்கள் அடைந்தாலும் வாழ்வில் உயர பறந்தாலும் மறவோம் ஒரு நாளும் நாங்கள் ஈஸ்வரில் பயின்ற நாட்களை. ஈஸ்வர் கல்லூரி வாழ்க்கை கற்று தந்த பாடம் காலங்கள்